Hello third grade, so today we are going to work on the objective that we can use and identify size contrast. And so what we're going to do for our size contrast is we're going to take a tiny piece of candy in the wrapper and we're going to draw it on a large piece of paper. You're actually going to get a much larger piece of paper than I have here, but that paper won't fit on the screen, so I'm using a slightly smaller paper. Your paper will be much bigger. So I'm going to draw this Ghirardelli milk chocolate peppermint brownie candy, and it's quite involved. The logo is quite involved, so that's going to take me a little while. The candy that you choose, you need to look at and decide whether or not you're ready or interested in putting forth that kind of effort. So the first thing is the candy itself is a square, and then it has the wrapper that comes off of it. So I'm going to try to make a square on my paper, and I want you to draw your candy really filling the space. Okay, so my square isn't quite centered. I think I'll move it over a little bit. So I think I'll move it over here, and I'm going to draw a little bit darker than I might if I were doing this on my own, but I'm drawing dark so that you can see on the screen better what I'm doing. So now the wrapper has this part coming off of it, so it goes up a little bit, and then it has this very tiny little zigzag. Now I'm going to do the red part inside. And notice whenever there's a straight line, I'm using a ruler, and you should do the same thing. Okay, so now if I look at my wrapper, I don't really have that line there. It goes from the red rectangle in the middle out to the edges. So I'm going to go ahead and erase now that I've made a nice square to fill my paper, and I know the candy inside, and I can feel the candy inside makes a square, but honestly, the wrapper isn't a square. And so now I'm going to do the candy cane lines or stripes, and those are straight again, so I'm going to use a ruler. Now when the wrapper bends a little bit, so does the stripe. So I need to decide, do I want to make this look really 3D, or do I just want to do the neatest possible way? So I'll show you the two ways that you could do it. So if I'm just going to make it 3D, I'm going to draw, it has a skinny stripe and then a fat stripe, and they're diagonal. And then it has a skinny stripe and then a fat stripe. And I want to make these as equal as possible. So I don't want to have a really fat stripe and then a really skinny stripe, and have them, I want them to be spaced out evenly. So this is my stripe, and then this is the white, and this is the stripe, and that's the white. So this can get a little tricky with your eye. It's hard to see what is the stripe and then what is the white space. So you're gonna have to pay close attention to that when you color this in. So that's how to make it just kind of, it looks essentially flat, but I'm showing what's on the wrapper. Over here I'm going to show you how to kind of make it look 3D. So if you look, my stripe goes up, but then it also bends where the wrapper starts. So I'm going to draw a skinny line right here, and then I'm going to have it bend and go up to try to make it look 3D. And technically, I think these are supposed to line up, so I don't think I'm doing a very good job. So I'm going to go back and try this again and try to get those to line up. Because if you look at the wrapper, it looks like they connect. So let's see. I'll connect with this skinny stripe over here. Okay, and then the fat stripe. I'm just going to stop where it would go up, and then I'm going to make it go up. Okay, Okay, so there's all my stripes on that side. So hopefully you can kind of see that what I've tried to do is make it look like it goes up the way that it does on the wrapper here. And I guess from the screen there, it doesn't look like it goes up very much, but it does bend up. So that's what I was trying to do. All right, so now I need to space out the logo. So we have a semicircle that goes here, and then we have kind of a banner, and then Ghirardelli goes across. Whoops, I need to make sure it's horizontal. Goes across here, and then so as I'm drawing this, I'm looking at the spacing. I know that the rectangle for Ghirardelli goes out about to here. So I'm just kind of gently blocking this in just to kind of get the idea of where I need to fit in all my letters and my words. So the rest of the words and stuff I'll work on in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and erase stripes inside. Okay, now if I look at it, it has, if you look at it up close, it has a gold frame around the rectangle. So I need to make that frame. So you need to look closely at your candy as you're drawing it, nice and big. So this is size contrast, which means that we're taking something small and blowing it up big. I mean, can you imagine a candy bar that was this big, as big as your paper? That would be crazy. I think we'd all get cavities. Our dentists wouldn't like that very much. Alright, so there's my gold frame. Now I need to do Ghirardelli, and that's block letters. So if I look, I probably want to start in the middle to see if I can fill it in. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 letters, and the R is right in the middle. So I know the R is going to go here. So I'm going to gently and lightly print the name Ghirardelli to see if I can't get it to fit. Then I'll go back and add the block or bubble. So I can already see I have 3 more letters and I have a lot of space. So I can make my letters wider. I don't have to make them quite so skinny. I was worried I wouldn't be able to fit them in, but it looks like I'll be able to fit them in just fine. And that worked out really nice. You might have way more trouble than that. I mean, that worked out really nice, me just printing it to get it the way I want. So now I'm going to go back and turn them into block letters. And the great thing about the word Ghirardelli here is that's real easy. It's just simple block letters. So I'm going to go through and turn my sketch into block letters. And I can just trace around my letters, or I can try and use my letters to help me to make the letter itself. So with the G, I did the inside of the G. The outside of the G was already made from my printed letter, but with the H, I just went ahead and traced around it. With the I, I'll use one side of it as one side of my letter. Now with the R, I think I'm going to try and use the printed R. With the D, I just have to do the inside of the D. That's super easy. With the E, I can use the bottom and the top. The L, I can use the back side and then draw the front of the L. And there is Ghirardelli. Awesome. So now I'm going to work on this banner. So it overlaps into the title. And I'm going to use the letters to help me to know where the banner should be. So the banner starts above the R and it ends after the D. So now I need to erase the frame from Ghirardelli. It's in the banner. And then in the word banner, it says founded in 1852. So, and it's just printed. So founded, oops, I'm drawing way too big. It's not going to fit. So I need to make my letters much skinnier. So now for the hard part. I I know that sounds crazy, doesn't it? It seems like a lot of this was pretty hard. But I need to do the eagle. Oh, I've got these swirls. I'm going to skip the eagle for a minute and just get these swirls going. Okay, so as I'm drawing this, I'm paying close attention to where everything falls. How far does the wing come out and touch the edge here? How far in does the body go? And then we have this San Francisco label that is going to go here. So I've messed up my arch completely. And then the other part of the arch comes out here and matches up. All right, so it's quite a fancy label. So now I have to fit San Francisco in this arch, which that's going to be a little tricky because San Francisco is a long word. Okay, I had an easier time of that than I thought I would. All right, so there's the Ghirardelli label. Lots of details. Your label probably won't have nearly that many details. And so now I'm ready to do these words down here where it says squares, milk chocolate, peppermint, brownie. With other natural flavors I could skip and I don't have to put the net weight 0.5 ounces if I don't want to. You get to decide what parts you include, but you always have to include the label so we know what it is. So now I need to do, okay, so these are going to be too big. I can see that already where my U is falling underneath the word chocolate is too far closer to the middle. So I need to make my letters a little bit skinnier so I can fit the whole word across here with plenty of space. And as you can see, my letters are slowly starting to get a little bit smaller, so I need to be careful about that. Okay. Now it doesn't say squares because I haven't made that O into a Q yet, but now I'm going to do the same thing I did up here. These are block letters, so I'm going to take my time and get these block letters drawn as neatly as possible. So you can see there's lots of adjusting with these letters. Making them fatter, making them fit, making them taller. So you're just going to have to take your time and do the best you can. We should still be able to tell what kind of chocolate it is or what kind of candy it is. So I print it just to give me an idea of how big the letters should be, and then I go back and I turn them into block letters and I make lots of adjustments. All right. Okay, so I need to leave, milk chocolate should go right about here, peppermint and brownie. Okay, so I have to fit milk chocolate, and if I look, milk ends underneath the S. So only printed, so I only need to print. All right, it doesn't fit across like I see up here, so I didn't do a very good job of making that stretch. So I think I'm going to go back, can make my letters a little bit wider. Okay, still doesn't stretch as far as I need it to. So I think maybe I should move milk over a little bit. So sometimes you just have to make some adjustments and you have to redo things over and over again. Okay, now I've almost shoved it to the right a little bit, but that's close enough. I've done it 3 times. I've done the best I can. So now I need to do peppermint brownie. So I'm going to start with brownie at the bottom first, just to kind of give me an idea. And the W is kind of in the middle. So these letters down here are in block letter, but I have so much other detail. These don't have to be in block letter. And actually, these were supposed to be in block 2, if you look at my candy. But that's pretty good. I mean, the Ghirardelli symbol has got quite a lot of detail. So if this was something that you did, I would totally be okay with some printing. So at this point, you're going to then color it in. You're going to need to decide, do you want to outline with black marker first and then color it in? And what drawing media are you going to use? Or are you going to use painting media? I wouldn't recommend on your large papers to use marker, because the markers just aren't going to last. They're going to fade and die on you because it's such a large paper that you're coloring in. You're going to get tired too. Crayon works really well filling in large areas, and it's not very messy. So if you don't want to get too messy, you want to have a little bit of control, crayons would be a good choice for you. If you want to paint, watercolor might be a nice choice. Tempera you could try. Since my emblem is so detailed, I don't think I want to use paint because that's going to be really hard to control. So I think I'm going to outline with marker, and I'm going to color it in, probably with crayons, maybe color pencil for this detail, but I don't want to use color pencils for all these red stripes. I definitely, for the red stripes, want to use crayon. For the red back here, I'd want to use crayon because that's just a lot of red, and red markers die pretty fast. They usually end up turning pink, so I want to have this nice red like I do on this candy. So I'm going to outline it, color it in, probably with crayon, maybe color pencil for the detail, and then I'll be finished.